So we'll
Yeah.
just
I call Andrew Williams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I take a call on behalf of New Zealand First as the Veterans Affairs spokesperson for New Zealand First with this very important bill, the Veterans Support Bill, and it's very symbolic that this bill is going through its final third reading tonight in the week leading up to the 100-year centenary and commemorations of the commencement of World War I. Of course, all the veterans from that great battle are now long gone. However, we still have a number from World War II and, of course, a great many more from subsequent campaigns in Malaya, in Korea, in Vietnam and other subsequent engagements. Mr Speaker, firstly, can I commend the Law Commission on the excellent work that they did 4 years or more ago to bring this to this House originally with their report. Their recommendations, some 174 recommendations, I think they were. What was that? 170, I'm told, 170. Really did bring home to this House and to those involved in Veterans Affairs and the RSA and all veterans around New Zealand what was indeed involved in terms of looking after the interests and the welfare of our veterans. And it's most commendable that the Law Commission did such a thorough job to come up with their findings and make their extensive recommendations. It is somewhat disappointing that it has taken the length of time that it has to get to this final third reading. Because, as we have said before, many of the older veterans are not getting any younger, and every year that goes by we lose more and more of them, and that is a very sad situation that we face. And therefore time is of the essence to do all we can for those veterans as best we can, and to give them a just recognition for their services to this country. Mr Speaker, I have spoken in this House before, but I will speak again. I still have reservations about the full intent of this bill in terms of ensuring that veterans receive the benefit of the doubt in relation to their medical records and their medical conditions. And there has been so many cases, several thousand cases of claims being turned down by Veterans Affairs New Zealand because of inadequate medical records or medical records that are missing and other such errors. Back in 2008, the then Lieutenant General Jerry Mataparai spoke at Tribute 08 for the Vietnam veterans here in Wellington, and he apologised on behalf of the Defence Force to the veterans that so many medical records had been lost, had been mislaid, and had not been handled correctly by the Defence Force. He apologised, and in his speech at the time he said that no veteran would miss out or be penalised or lose in any way as a result of the mishandling by Defence Force of the medical records. However, this bill now does include some clauses which talks about presumption of injuries and illness and death in terms of qualifying operational service, and it does refer to other aspects of that. However, there still are a lot of legal jargon in here that still allows too many loopholes for what I would describe as the bureaucrats to come up with excuses not to properly pay out to veterans who are in need. And in that respect, I put up a supplementary order paper which was supported by Labour, the Greens and several other parties, but which the National Party did not support. And my supplementary order paper said, in the case of doubt arising from missing or insufficient New Zealand Defence Force medical records as to whether a veteran suffered injury, illness or death on operational service, the injury, illness or death is presumed to have occurred while the veteran was performing qualifying operational service. Had that gone through, it would have taken out a lot of the legal complexities of some aspects of this bill and would have ensured that veterans truly did get the benefit of the doubt. We heard instances at the Select Committee, for instance, of a retired colonel who was declined a disability pension because he had no medical records of the accident happening on operational service. And yet, so many of his comrades had seen him jump from the back of an army truck with full kit on, carrying a weapon and pack, and he landed on his feet, but he landed badly on his ankles and did considerable damage to his ankles. Now, in those days, they just didn't hobble off and go and say, let's go to the first hospital and let's be hospitalised. They were tough men, these people. These were the guys in Vietnam. They were tough. And this gentleman carried on with very damaged ankles. In later years now, he has arthritis and serious pain in his ankles, and he has considerable problems with his ankles, and yet he has been declined a disability pension for that particular instance because there's no proof that he did. And all his friends, all his mates said, we saw it happen. We saw him do the injuries. It was there. But it doesn't appear on any of his medical records, even though he was treated in Vietnam. Doc John Mountain, who was a medical medevac in Vietnam, testified to the committee and also came and submitted and said he witnessed so much of this going on, and he saw many of these men being injured, and he also witnessed the fact that many of their medical records subsequently, when they came to Wellington and they were on hard copy, they were on pieces of cardboard, when they got transferred into a more modern system of paper files and a more modern transaction, a lot of the original records weren't transferred correctly. They weren't transposed. Information was left off. And so as a result, many of these gentlemen and women as well now struggle to prove some of their medical conditions because of the way those records were handled. Well, Mr. Speaker, can I just assure you that if New Zealand First is in a position after the 20th of September to again address the situation, we will rectify that. And we will ensure that what we wanted to have in this bill was that veterans would get the benefit of the doubt and they would be given that distinction, that we will ensure that that is the case. Mr. Speaker, we are talking a small amount of money in relation to the government budget. It's a tiny amount of money in terms of the government's annual funding. But this is a huge amount for individuals who are now elderly and need this assistance. And therefore, we're doing a great disservice to them by not allowing such payments and such support in their elder years of life. Mr. Speaker, we also agree with the other parties as well, and we've said we don't agree with the decline of the lump sum as well. We think that should have been put in place. Again, families are often the ones who suffer. They're the ones often who have taken care of a veteran in their declining years. And they deserve also the support as well, because many of them have suffered as a result of the military service, the military life of that veteran, and coming back home and then having subsequent illnesses. And the families suffer, and they should also, therefore, be recognised in that manner. Mr. Speaker, we're coming into a very important period in the next couple of years where we will be commemorating many of the battles that are on the wall here, Passchendaele, Gallipoli, and many of the famous battles. But at the same time, we have living heroes today in New Zealand, living heroes from Vietnam, living heroes still from World War II surviving, and living heroes who have gone and put their lives at risk in service of this country. And Mr. Speaker, I think we all owe a great debt and gratitude to them for their services, and this Parliament should most definitely give them every assistance they can receive. New Zealand First continues to always uphold that. We were the party that put in place the funding for the RSA social support services, $1 million funding over a 4-year period, $250,000 a year. This government cut that back to $150,000 a year. Again, after the 20th of September, we will return that to full funding to the RSA. Again, they deserve it, they need it. That social support for the RSA is most important to assist the veterans to get to hospital, to get to medical appointments, to have the social support for them. So, Mr. Speaker, this hasn't finished. This is a great step. We do commend this bill to the House. We know it goes a long way, but we can still improve on it yet.
I call Ian Lees-Galloway.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's a very great pleasure to speak this evening in support of the veterans.